Huge thank you and shout out to my pal Psymorte. He has been working very hard and made some new profile pictures, avatars for our YouTube channels. Thank you very much. And the link is in the description down below to his upcoming indie comic he's been working on. He's gotten a lot of progress done so far. I really recommend you check it out. It is called The Vigilante. It is about one man's struggle against crime in a corrupt city. Thank you very much, Psymorte. And now let's jump into it, because I am going to be the hero that this story needs, the martyr that jumps on the proverbial hand grenade that is Call of Duty. I've always really loved the Call of Duty games. Some of them don't connect with me, but the Black Ops games in particular, 1 and 2, I think are really fantastic games in the shooter genre and just overall in general. So when we found out that Black Ops Cold War was the next title, a lot of people were very impressed, right? Very excited. However, this game has a ton of problems, that I think are worth addressing, whether you're a Call of Duty fan or whether you are just a fan of gaming in general. And I really do believe a lot of these come down to crunch time, come down to overworking your employees, come down to shoving out a game every single year and feeling like you have to meet this deadline instead of extending it. We saw this back in the day with Ubisoft when they just kept doing it with Assassin's Creed, and they were getting worse and worse until they finally hit Unity, where it just bombed and they really had to back off. This is an issue in games development in general. So what's wrong with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War? Well, the signs were showing actually back in May of 2019 when Jason Schreier, who is actually a very good reporter despite now sort of developing the I guess reputation in the community of being the guy on Twitter who blocks everyone who disagrees with him. I haven't been blocked yet, so Jason, please don't block me. I don't think I said anything mean to you, but who knows, maybe I'll get blocked. He actually reported on the whole upheaval at Activision with this game way back then in 2019. It was solid reporting, and he talked about how they were actually moving Raven and Sledgehammer down a notch from the main developers of this game and bringing in Treyarch because it was such a mess, because they couldn't get their act together and actually develop this. And we actually saw the alpha of this game come out just this last week here, and you're going to say, well, it's an alpha, right? Not really. This game is definitely going on disc very soon, considering that it launches here in like a month and a half. So this is not really an alpha, but we saw the Cold War alpha come out last week, and there were a lot of problems with it, even beyond the behind the scenes stuff. There were tons of problems and errors with players connecting to the multiplayer just in general, which was pretty bad, with umbrella merge conflicts and other issues reported. And then when you get to the actual game itself, it just had a myriad of issues with it, from style down to gameplay. I mean, if we're looking at overall style, and I will do my best to show off a lot of this stuff, it doesn't fully even look like Call of Duty Black Ops anymore. It very much leaned into the Modern Warfare style of game, which was a problem because people who like the Treyarch games and the Black Ops games, they actually really like that merge of cartoony and realism. They like that style. So to almost do away with that is a little silly of a choice in terms of style. They completely removed leaning and doors from this game, at least in the alpha, and I have a real strong feeling, you can take that for whatever you want, that will not be in the final game, in terms of there won't be these openable doors and tactical situations like that we saw in Modern Warfare, where you could sort of lean in and open a door and fire through them. A lot of tactical engagement like that is gone from this game. There's really no overall style so far to the operators that you play as, and there's far less customization to the guns, which is actually something that they even confirmed and talked about, not just being in the alpha, but in the game itself, that they would definitely be sort of scaling back and going back to basics a little bit, or toning it down. Really what this meant, though, was that we lost the amazing gun customization from Modern Warfare, and it's been scaled back quite a bit. The engine choice is very weird because, like I said, it removed the personality of both Modern Warfare and Black Ops in different ways, and the balancing was terrible for this alpha. It was like awful. Some of the worst I've ever seen. Snipers were insane, and their excuse was, we know they're broken. We did that on purpose, which is really just laughable. There was no weaknesses to the vehicles or to being in them really at all. I go on just an insane kill spree in one of these vehicles at one point, which I'm going to have to find here because no one can really touch you. Shotguns have massive range in this game. And then when it comes down to graphics itself, other than just the personality loss, pop-in is everywhere in this game. Everything pops in and flickers, everything from the game itself to the menus. You're running around the map, you're looking at things, every texture is popping in as you go. It's real bad, especially when you consider that this is the alpha, so these should have been probably the most polished maps that they had, that they were working with to sort of stress test connections. That's why you can at least somewhat disregard the connection issues. You can say, okay, well, that makes sense, right? That makes sense with the alpha prototype of a multiplayer, even though this thing's going on disc, I guarantee you within 2 weeks. That makes sense. Now, but when you get in the actual game, this stuff is really inexcusable. There's random flickering textures all over the place. There's screen shake and problems with that. Everything pops in, from pictures on the wall down to just the textures of characters themselves. It all looks really pretty bad. There's so many glitches in this thing too. It was absolutely insane. The day one patch for this thing has got to be massive because there's aim down sights glitches in post screen where you can try and scope in the post screen and just make your entire console and game just have a seizure. The RCXD can totally glitch in slow motion as you're playing. Controller vibration happens in infinite loops where I was playing and the controller would not stop vibrating at all. Like, it just kept going. Like, I'm talking, this is your stepmom's wet dream. This controller is just going like crazy and it just would not quit. There was just so many problems. Running on edges can phase you through the map actually and mess up your field of view, and then the game has to purposely drag you back into the map because it doesn't know where you are, which, hey, I guess at least they basically have rubber bands built into every character to do that. I saw people running in places on turrets and the ground glitching in and out depending on where you were. It's all such a mess. It's all a horrible mess. I want this game to be good. Like I said, I love Call of Duty. I love the Black Ops franchise in particular. I love the story of the Masons, especially, you know, Alex Mason and his son David in Black Ops 1 and 2. I think that those were done very well. I think that this series really fell off in terms of any sort of story in 3 to the point where it was just ditched in 4 completely. And this is sort of the Hail Mary to bring back Black Ops, to bring back the storyline of these games and to sort of make people care. And if the multiplayer is any indication at all, this game has a ton of problems that are pretty inexcusable. I really do hope that they fix it for PlayStation 5. That is the version that I would like to play if it is fixed. At the very least, I hope that the campaign is salvageable enough that I could play through that because, like I said, I care about those characters, believe it or not, and just sort of the storyline there. But the whole thing is a mess. I really do think that overall, as gamers, we should stop enabling the idea that things should come out every single year. And that's why, even as a fan of COD, I don't buy them every year. I really backed off of them a lot around the time of Call of Duty Ghosts. I skipped multiple titles, and even when I wanted to play those, I would buy them later for about $10 used. There really is a big problem with shoving these games out so quickly, and I think it's very, very, very apparent and shown off in the Black Ops Cold War alpha. My predictions are that this game will launch with a lot of problems and stylistic issues that it will have to face. I do think that they can salvage it, but I also think the fact that the Treyarch community, the Treyarch employees were bracing for long overtime and grueling hours, like Jason Schreier mentioned in his article back in 2019 already, just when they were being put on the project, sort of shows off that this is something that should not be rushed. Game development is not something to rush. It is not a race. Instead of trying to get done as quickly as possible and put something out, what you should be doing is putting as much work as possible into your product so that you can then come out with the best possible products and not damage your brand. It's a lot harder to salvage your brand after you damage it. Call of Duty was a very apparent case of this, where it really sort of just started falling off around the time of COD Ghosts and bouncing back with Modern Warfare. It took a lot to gain back community trust, and this really doesn't seem like the way to reward that. To me, this feels like the game that would come out right before Call of Duty Modern Warfare and be sort of like the step in the right direction, and then that would be the, all right, we're back on track. Instead, now this seems like a misstep, and I really hope that they're able to solve that by the time of launch for players. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I know my community is not probably the most in tune to Call of Duty, but hey, this is a variety channel. I do not just talk about one thing, and I never will, because that bores the hell out of me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to see that. Be sure to check out Psymorte's comic in the description down below. Like I said, big thank you and shout out to him for helping make the new profile pictures and avatars. Appreciate the hell out of you. Have a fantastic day. Links are in the description as always. Stay shway.